following you for quite a while now. And I'm very drawn towards Advaita. There are, like you've explained, that there are three states: the deep sleep, the waking state, and the dreaming. And in this Vivaharika Satya, the waking state, we experience joy, depression, suffering, and all that. And hence, law of karma applies. Law of karma applies to the waking state. But beyond all these three states is the Turiya. That's the super consciousness or the Brahman. This law of karma plays a role in Turiyam?
No.
It doesn't.
That is the thing. The reality which we are, the pure consciousness which you're calling Turiyam, is beyond causality. That's the philosophical way of putting it. Law of karma is nothing other than causality, cause and effect. Swami Vivekananda has said, good, good, bad, bad, and none escape the law. Karma, this is karma basically. Whosoever wears a form, wears the chain too. Chain means all my past karma. Then what is Vedanta? This is not Vedanta. What is Vedanta? Far beyond name and form is Atman ever free, Tattvariam. Know thou art that. Sannyasi bold, say Om Tat Sat Om. So that is the thing.
So that means Turiya affects these three states, but it doesn't plays a role.
Yeah, you can say it illumines these three states and supports these three states. But the states do not affect Turiya.
Yeah. So then there is no element of karma or grace in Turiya?
No. Turiya, you can say it is grace itself. It's because of Turiya that we can get freedom from everything. And everything exists because of Turiya. It's like if you have a screen and a movie is playing. The screen supports the entire movie. But what happens in the movie does not affect the screen. If there's a huge explosion in the movie, will the screen get burned? It won't even get warm. If there's a big flood in the movie, will the screen get wet? Not at all. But the screen does support the movie, because without the screen, no movie is possible. So Turiyam is like that.
So then,
is there a question? I'm counting. Yes.
Last question.
All right.
So this is only for the Vivaharika Satya, or the waking state, and Turiya is there. Then we do talk about these three karmas that we have, that we are experiencing now, and then there is Turiya. Once you realize they do play out, but then we don't get affected by that.
Correct. Use the movie analogy. So in Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter is going to the school and fighting against villains and making friends. Is it true or not? You will say, Swami, it is true in the movie, in the story. But actually from the point of view of our reality, it's just a screen and on that light is playing. Or it's just a book on that letters are written. There is no Harry Potter, there is no villain, there is no magic school. All of those are true within the screen, within the movie. So your entire karma is true within the story of the Vyavaharika life. But all of that is supported by, underlying it all, is your real nature. When you know that yourself as Turiyam, this will continue. You will continue to experience it. Just because you know the screen does not mean the movie will stop. Movie will go on. But movie is realized as a movie, not as reality anymore. Thank you so much.
One more. My name is Manzul Kohli. I'm based out of Indianapolis. Fishers is one of the suburbs here. I live here. I'm not as learned as the lady here. Very simple question I have. I heard you talk about dharma, atharva, and karma.
Dharma,
artha,
karma. Artha means literally money, wealth, success.
Yes, yeah, I followed in my limited capacity there. My simple question is, as one embarks on, and I'm a small businessman here in the city, I sell real estate, but as one gets involved into worldly affairs and I have my goals set, the daily chores, the daily errands, and all the materialistic goals that we set, one comes back every night and also introspects. You know, you talked about Tattvam Asi. One introspects, but the question that I have is, how does one maintain a balance between the three, the dharma, artha, and the karma? It seems at times, and with my young ambitions and all the goals that I'm attaining in my business, which I'm blessed, I'm doing very well. But how do I maintain a balance in my life, or embark on a journey to maintain that?
I understand. Two things, remember. Balance is given by dharma. Dharma means morality or ethics. Basically, keep your life clean. Personal life, family life, community life, and professional life. As far as your own conscience is concerned, that should be clean. That I am not doing anything which I would be ashamed to admit in public, which the police would catch me for. Or even, I am alright as far as the law is concerned, but my own standards I should not violate. So that gives balance. Balance means basically a set of checks. But deeper than that is the moksha dimension. This much we can do. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, have you seen children playing? They hold a pillar and swing round and shout in delight. But they are very careful not to let go of the pillar, because they know they'll be hurt. Do you get the image in your mind? We love swinging round and round, especially as children. It makes you feel dizzy, feel very happy. That's why they will go around on the Ferris wheel and things like that. But they are very careful to hold on to the pillar. Otherwise, they know if I let go of the pillar, suddenly I'll fall and get hurt. Similarly, hold on to God. Whichever form, whichever practice is suitable to you. Hold on to God. And that swinging round and round is what you do in life, dharma, artha, kama.
That answers the question, thank you. It's easier said than done, I know. But
no, but it can be done. In day-to-day life, keep that image in mind. That child swinging round and round. Am I holding on to the Lord? Practically it might mean, maybe I am a devotee of Shiva. So mentally I might be repeating Om Namah Shivaya whenever I get the chance. Morning and evening I may offer something to the picture of Shiva, Lord Shiva. Your individual practices are your own. There are many practices which are possible. But they all enable you to hold on to the pillar when you're going round and round.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I relate with that CISF story that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's right. So I said every activity, can you connect it to your worship of Lord Hanuman? So you have a central activity, but don't divide it, my spiritual life and my secular life. The spiritual life will always lose because secular life has so many demands on you. So spiritualize your secular life in that way. Everything that I do is one more flower offered at the feet of Lord Hanuman. Thank you.
Whoa.
Power.
Yes.
Namaste Swamiji, my name is Vivekananda. I'm a student from Columbus, Indiana. And first of all, thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you.
We've been following your videos for a long time, and it's awesome to see you here in our own state. My question for you is, after listening to all of these Vedanta lectures and thinking about it, turning it over in the mind, and doing some practices like meditation and all this, I'm able to get some kind of understanding of what this is and kind of convinced that it's correct. But after going back into normal activities, that peace and that understanding which we get while hearing this or meditating, it goes away very quickly. And my question to you is, what is the next step in the path to make this more real and permanent?
All right. It's a very good question. How old are you?
17.
Very good question, yes. There are times when you get a sense of peace and happiness. So at that time it might seem, I am peaceful, I am the witness, and there is this experience of peace. What does Vedanta say? You, the consciousness, are aware of a peaceful mind, of a calm mind, of a fulfilled mind. Now you see, when I go back into my normal activities, what you said, maybe I'm going to school or talking with friends or working, and I forget that, and I get disturbed. what is the experience of being disturbed if you look back upon it? The mind is upset or fully engaged in something worldly, totally forgetting Vedanta. Isn't it the same consciousness which is lighting up, which is revealing that disturbed, excited, restless mind? Isn't it? Has the consciousness changed? What does Vedanta say? The same consciousness which was the witness of the peaceful mind, the restful mind, is now the witness of
The restless mind.
You might even object. Oh, I wouldn't say it's the witness anymore. I've become mixed up with the restless mind. I am the restless mind. I don't feel like a witness. Okay. Would it be right to say that the same consciousness is lighting up or revealing the restless mind?
Yeah.
Is the consciousness restless?
No.
No. Is it exactly the same as it was when it was revealing the restful mind?
Yes.
Same consciousness, totally unchanged, reveals a restless mind, an upset mind. The consciousness in itself is not restless or upset. Note that. The moment you note that, you will see it will be alright. Even the mind which is restless, upset, you will see within a few moments after that, mind will also become much calmer.
So is the practice to, while doing the regular activities, to frequently become aware of this? Is that what you're saying? Right?
That is very good. Frequently become aware, that's at one level. Deeper level is, whenever you run into resistance, I'm unhappy, I'm irritated, immediately think that, oh, I shouldn't be unhappy or irritated. We all have problems like this. Unhappiness, irritation, upset. All of us have problems. And then when you study Vedanta, you have additional problem, Vedantic problem. What is the Vedantic problem? I should not be unhappy. I'm unhappy, I should not be unhappy, extra problem now. Unhappiness problem 1. And then Vedantic problem, why am I not the witness? Second problem. You've increased the problems. No. Whenever you feel that there is a problem, immediately refer back to this witness consciousness. Problem will go away. Second stage. First stage, frequently go back there, whether you're facing a problem or not, throughout the day. Second stage, only when you're facing a problem, and you reflect back to it. Your name was Vivek. When I said your name was Vivek, immediately you said my name is Vivek. But you are not continuously thinking I'm Vivek, and if I don't think I'm Vivek, I will forget I'm Vivek. So a little bit of my practice, frequently I must think I'm Vivek. No, you don't do that. It is so naturally available to you that whenever somebody asks you what's your name, you say Vivek, effortlessly. But even that Vivek is something that has been conditioned from childhood. It has become effortless. That I am the witness consciousness is a fact. It is not even conditioning. It should be so effortlessly available to us that whenever life puts us in a difficult situation, it should automatically come. Life is asking you a question. Are you restless? Are you unhappy? Why are you unhappy? You should immediately, reply should come, I am the witness of this unhappiness. I am the experiencer of this unhappiness. I am the awareness in which unhappy mind is shining. Third level, deepest level, that is the level of Jivan Mukta. You don't even need to do that. Just the awareness, just the knowledge, not even awareness, not a practice anymore. Just the knowledge that I am consciousness is enough. Thank you. A very good question.
Namaste Swamiji, my name is Ravi. My question is, we were told sometimes the suffering is because of the karma, and then we are going through many sufferings and things like that. Sometimes it is bodily and pain, things like that. The many kinds of suffering. But my question is, the real I is making the decisions. And because of those decisions we are getting the karma. And then why the body has to suffer, the Annamaya Kosha or the Manomaya Kosha and all those things, for the decision that has been taken by the real I. So that is my question.
First of all, decision is not taken by real I. The real I is pure consciousness. Decision is taken at the level of the Vijnanamaya Kosha, Buddhi. And that consciousness reveals the decision taken. Right decision, wrong decision, whatever. Second, body does not suffer. Ultimately, suffering is, enjoyment and suffering are due to consciousness only. I am aware. Identified with the body, I say, I am suffering pain. I am aware. Identified with the mind, I say, the problem in the mind becomes my suffering then. So suffering is always, it requires the presence of consciousness. In fact, recently there was this discussion, AI, you are discussing it today, artificial intelligence. There's one Dr. Anil Seth in England, he gave a very nice talk. He said, you don't have to be smart to suffer, but you have to be conscious to suffer. Deep Blue, the IBM machine which beat a grandmaster, is smart in the sense that it can do smart things like play chess at the grandmaster level. But it's not conscious. If the grandmaster had beaten it, would it have been humiliated? No. The scientist behind Deep Blue might have been humiliated. But Deep Blue is not humiliated. When the Deep Blue beats the grandmaster, the scientists behind Deep Blue are jubilant. But Deep Blue is not jubilant. There is no happiness or misery, no depression, or elation in a machine. To feel that, you don't need intelligence, you need awareness. So suffering, unhappiness, or happiness are always related to consciousness, not to intelligence. Decisions are taken at the level of intelligence, and the whole complex, consciousness limited by the Panchakosha, the Jiva, especially consciousness limited by the Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya and Vijnanamaya, it's called the Jiva. That is the one who does the karma and gets the result of karma. And this body itself, it's not that the body is suffering the result of karma. Body is the product of karma. Everything that is happening in the body is the result of my past karma. So that's how we think about it. You, the pure consciousness in your real nature, you are actually free of karma right now. Thank you.
I study at Purdue with it, Shah. So I think so a part of my question is answered by you in your example of the incident that you narrated at your airport. Like, so it's about incorporating bhakti and jnana in your daily life. So what I think so in one of your lectures you mentioned a book called Flow by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and I've got a chance to read it recently. So what I wanted to know is how can I incorporate this flow in bhakti and jnana so much so that I can use it in my day-to-day life as a student and later even in my work life. How can I enhance my life through bhakti and jnana in my student life and later in my work life? Like how to get the flow in that?
Correct. Remember the graph in flow. How do you attain? Flow is basically a state of absolute concentration where with ease, suppose you're playing the guitar or playing tennis or something, sometimes sportsmen, musicians, you have all experienced this. It just flows. See, the dancer is nodding her head because she knows. Sometimes it's not happening properly. It's difficult and you're making mistakes. Sometimes it's just effortlessly happening. But that effortless happening never comes by itself. Behind it is a long history of hard practice. Then it becomes effortless. That too sometimes. And so that is called flow. Now how do you attain that flow in day-to-day life? That graph that Mihai Csikszentmihalyi has drawn. On one axis is challenge. Another axis is skills. Now, I think the x-axis was skill and the y-axis was challenge, something like that.
Something.
Yeah. What happens? When the task is very challenging and your skill is low, it's anxiety. Just come into this top American university. Everything is tough. And I'm not really up to it. Anxiety. First year, undergraduate. Final year, the same subject, or let's say first year undergraduate in a tough engineering course. You find it anxiety. But the teacher who's been teaching for 25 years, relaxed. What has happened to the teacher? Skills are very high. Teaching first year undergraduate, the challenge is very low. The result will be high skill and low challenge. What will be the result? Boredom. The same class which is challenging for the undergraduate student is boring for the teacher who's teaching it because it's very easy. Now how do you get flow? When the challenge is high and your skills are also high, they are more or less match. The example that Mihai Csikszentmihalyi gives is when you learn to play tennis, Just being able to return one serve is a big achievement first. Somebody served and you were able to return it. You get a joy in it. But after some time, as your skills build up, just returning serves will be very boring for you. Now you want to play a game. Then you get the challenge. A flow comes back again. Your skill and the challenge is equal. After some time, your skill is so good that just anybody playing a game is boring. You want to play a game with the state champion or something like that. Then the challenge is high and skill is also high. You get that flow again. Basically, the flow comes when there is high challenge and you know that if I put forth effort, my skills are just enough to meet that challenge. Then you will feel totally engaged in it. And things will happen. Now, how do you do it in bhakti and jnana? So that's the question. So I'll give you one or two practices, just images. Take up something like a mantra. Suppose I am chanting Om Namah Shivaya. Sri Ramakrishna says, I went to north of India, he was on his pilgrimage. In the villages there, he said, I saw the ladies who go to the village well to get water. And they have different pots of different sizes. And they go in a group, the ladies. They will fill up the water in the well, all the while they are talking about their household affairs and everything. And they're coming back with the pots filled with water. One pot on the head, another one above that, another one above that. And they're all talking to each other. One pot on the waist they're holding like this big pot. And they're heavy, filled with water. And you have to be careful. If you stumble, it'll all come crashing down. And yet they're walking and talking to each other. What have they done? They've trained themselves to the point where a part of the mind is always there. That the balance is maintained. And then they're talking to each other. Now, remember, think of the Om Namah Shivaya mantra as that pot which you're holding on in your head. First secure that, then do things in the world. It's not easy. Okay. Am I going to forget it? No, hold on to it, hold on. Om Namah Shivaya. I'm forgetting it, I'm doing something else, back to it again, Om Namah Shivaya. As you do that, it will be easy when you're sitting. Little more difficult with eyes open. Little more difficult when you're walking around. More difficult when you're interacting with people. More difficult when it's a job which demands a lot of mental attention. So for a long time you may forget Om Namah Shivaya. But the moment it is released, Sri Ramakrishna gives another example. The compass needle. And samsara, he says, it's like if you knock the compass needle off, what will it do? It will spin around. And then north-south axis. Come back again. The words knocks your mind off God. And then you do, it spins around, does this and that, comes back again. Om Namah Shivaya. Is it possible? Yes, it's certainly. But practice you can do that. Another one, last one, a very classic example of water and a boat. Boat in water, not water in boat. So I am in samsara, floating in samsara. Don't let samsara enter into me. Raga, dvesha, kama, krodha. Keep the water of samsara out. But you are floating in samsara. Where else will the boat float? I don't want water to get into a boat. That's why I always keep it in my house. No. It's meant for floating in water. So samsara, you have to be in samsara. But don't. So 3 images, keep it in mind. You will see how you can get flow in day-to-day life. But you must have a practice. Something that you're holding on to. Maybe it might be a mantra or something. The women walking with the multiple pots on their head. Like that, keep the mantra in your head. Then the second one is the compass needle. There are times, certainly, when the world will throw your mind off Om Namah Shivaya. But like compass needles, the moment you get the chance, swing around to it. And third one is boat in water, not water in boat. I am in samsara. Samsara is not in me. Very good. Good question. Practical question.
My name is Sitaraman. I am visiting from near Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where most of these people are headed after retirement. My question is a curiosity question. Many religions claim their scriptures is the word of God. And Hindu religion also claims it's a word of God through the rishis. Rishis didn't write it themselves, but it is a word of God coming through them. in all your studies of Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, have you ever read a verse and said, nah, I don't agree with this? That's my curiosity question.
Yeah. You've heard of Amartya Sen?
Yeah.
He wrote a book, The Argumentative Indian.
Yes.
In almost the beginning, he narrates something interesting. He's atheistic, or at least agnostic. He says, when I was a child, he grew up in Shantiniketan. His name Amartya was given by Rabindranath Tagore. So, he says, when I was reading the Bhagavad Gita first time, there's many things which I didn't agree. So I asked my teacher, can I disagree with Krishna? My teacher told me something valuable. Who writes? Amartya Sen. He writes, the teacher told me, yes, with respect. I respectfully beg to disagree with you, my dear God. So the attitude that I take always is that there is something to this, clearly. I don't understand it yet. And I will try to understand. So it's not a question of I disagree with it. I don't get it. I can always say that. In Hinduism, you're always open. Because in Hinduism, the scriptures are not absolute. Even the scriptures are meant to take you to enlightenment. The Vedas themselves say, Yatra Veda, Veda Bhavanti. You have to go to that realization where the Vedas become no Vedas. Where the scriptures also drop away. So they are meant to help you. Remember also in the scriptures, there are many things which are relevant to that context, time and space. There are some eternal truths which we have in the Upanishads. Atman, Brahman, consciousness. But practical things related to a particular situation of society, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, they should not be taken at the same level. In Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, there is this beautiful distinction between Shruti and Smriti. Shruti is always the highest spiritual philosophical truths. Smriti is its implementation in society. But as society changes, India changes across time, 5,000 years. What was there in the Vedic Aryan times is not there now. Across space, from India to the United States, in 21st century. What is relevant there in India in 17th or 18th century is not relevant here in India in 21st century. So practical changes are there and every religion has to adapt. So that is Smriti. How do I know that they are not absolute? Notice, in Hinduism we have multiple Smritis. Yagyavalkya Smriti is there, Manu Smriti is there, many others. Which means, and each of them have different commandments, which means there are alternative approaches possible. Then why have them at all? Because a set of discipline, no matter what is your set of discipline, a set of discipline is necessary. Somebody asked me, I don't believe this religion. One says you have to pray on Friday, one says you have to pray on Saturday, and the other one says you have to pray on Sunday. Which one is correct? I said all are correct. How can all be correct? You have to look inwards. The point is not which day of the week you are praying. Point is, do you have a discipline of praying at all? That much is established. So one teacher will tell you, for you, if you follow me, you must pray on Saturday, Shabbat. Or turn up to church on Sunday. So this is a course of discipline is essential. Which course of discipline you take up? I will make my own course of discipline. It's a little foolish. There are these ancient systems which are proven. Why reinvent the wheel?